Good evening, Ntogozo from Davos here in Switzerland. Yes, indeed, a number of companies from South Africa are here at the World Economic Forum. And of course, it's quite an important gathering here of talks from all walks of life. People are here to ensure that the world becomes a better place. Multichoice has been playing a crucial part for many years here at WEF, and I'm joined now by Multichoice Group CEO, Mr. Calvo Mawela, to talk more about their involvement here and why this gathering is important. Clearly, Mr. Mawela, you value these talks at the World Economic Forum. Let's talk about the insights that you have gleaned from these talks this year.
Yeah, thanks, Xolani, and good evening to our viewers back home. I think World Economic Forum brings global leaders together to discuss problems that are facing the world. If I look at last year when we came here, the world was at a gloom stage where inflation was high, interest rates were high, war in Ukraine was at the center of the discussion. I think in this year's discussions, we are seeing a more optimistic view of the world, where people think that interest rates are at their peak and they will begin falling down, which means interest rates are going to fall down, which simply means that people are going to have more money and more disposable income to be able to spend. And for business like ours, which is a consumer-facing business, that is very important to understand what are our consumers going to be confronted with as the world goes out of the difficulty that it's in. So I'm very optimistic coming out of Davos. Of course, there are still challenges in the world. The war in Ukraine is still on. We still have climate change to confront. We still have the just transition that we need to consider. But everybody understands that we need to work together to solve the world's problem. Among the key things that I think have come out of this is that as things were getting tougher with the geopolitical tensions, we saw some protectionism beginning to kick in. This year at Davos, most leaders are very clear we can't continue with this protectionism. We need to improve trade amongst each other, and that way we can be able to benefit all of us as a global people. So we are very optimistic coming out of this year's discussions.
Let's talk about Multichoice Group itself. Now, it is here not just as a junket, but you want to gain something from the talks here. Tell us a bit more about the engagements that you've had over the last 3 days.
I think there is a strong focus also on media and entertainment and where it's going. There are a lot of discussions. Our industry is disrupted by technology, as you know, with OTT platforms coming into our territories. We have many that have come in. There will be more coming in. And these are global giants with deep pockets. We are here to understand what they are doing, how they are doing it, and how they view our market. Out of those learnings, we are also then be able to go back home and tweak our strategies to be able to respond to the competition that is facing us. So out of this, you get a good sense of where the world is and where it's going, and whether you are ahead of the curve or behind the curve, so that you can go back home and execute on some of the learnings that you got here. That's the valuable lessons that we get. Another big valuable lesson as a consumer-facing business is to understand the lie of the land in terms of the future outlook for the world. Is Africa going to continue to grow? Are we going to have a recession this year? Those are the things that help you when you craft your strategy going forward as to whether is it time to be tighter on the money side or it's time to invest more and more, because there is optimism that is kicking in. So those are the learnings that we have from Davos.
Briefly, we are all gathered here. There are hundreds of delegates that are waiting for South Africa Night, where South Africa showcases its diversity culturally, economically, business sector, and tourism as well. What can we expect there? Because it's really is a thing here at WEF, where South Africa is at the center stage and a main attraction for delegates here.
I think one of the biggest things that as Multichoice, and we are as proudly South African and a proudly African company, is still to demonstrate to the world that you might hear all the difficulties that we face, but we strongly believe in the South African and African story. We think there is immense opportunity for people to invest and continue to grow their businesses despite the challenges that we face. And that's why we have decided to sponsor the South African dinner tonight, to say to the world that as a business we still believe in this story, and we believe that we can get good returns by investing in South Africa. We know we've got good people, we are a resilient nation, and we should be able to showcase in the world stage like this.
Mr. Mawela, thank you very much for your time this evening. Well, Ntokozo, you heard there that despite the many challenges that South Africa faces back home, it is always important to have high-level talks and to be in the room when your future is being decided, and when those new ideas and new movements in technology and other areas are actually being implemented, you are part of those talks. Back to you in studio, Ntokozo.